Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalized keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewelry, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF627EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You can even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewelry Workshops. Vale Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Rhys Deans of Creative Space Podcast, and I've got another podcast episode for you right here, right now. And my guest here today is none other than Robert Clotworthy. Robert Clotworthy, you may not hear the name as much, but you have heard his voice. You have heard his voice on Ancient Aliens. You've heard him on many other projects, and also you may have seen him in one or two scenes with Bradley Cooper in Clint Eastwood's American Sniper. There's so much to talk about. He's also been in a variety of TV shows, including 2.5 Men. He's been in Big Bang Theory. He's been in loads and loads of things. I'm just going to give you the heads up. Normally, I do my podcasting recordings with my microphone. You've heard the sound differences, and unfortunately there was a few minor issues that I had to deal with, and I didn't have enough time to get the podcast equipment up and running, so I had to do it on my phone with just a pair of cheap headphones over my head. And if the sound doesn't sound the best for you guys, I do apologize, but I hope it doesn't ruin the experience for you listening to me and Robert Clotworthy talk about many, many things. So I hope you guys enjoy it. But without further ado, let's get on to the podcast. Robert Clotworthy, I have looked into your career. I've looked into what you've done over the years with your voice work, with your acting roles, etc. And this is very unusual for me, because if anyone is not listening, if anyone who listens to my podcast, they know that I got a microphone ready, everything's up and running, but I have to do it on my phone with a different headset on. So if the audio is not too good, I do apologize. But a lot of people have asked me to ask you to come on the show because of your work with Ancient Aliens.
I actually have fans in Wales.
What's that?
I have fans in Wales.
Yes, you have fans in Wales.
Oh, I like that. Cool.
Actually, a friend of mine had to ask me to ask you. I'm not too sure, just a long shot in the dark. Have you ever heard of the person Lionel Fanthal?
Lionel Fentel. No.
Lionel
No.
Fanthal, it is.
No.
No, because he's been on it a couple of times. I don't know if it was for Ancient Aliens and that, but he's an author in the UK, and he's also a reverend, so the man of the church.
Uh-huh.
And I've seen him a couple of times on Ancient Aliens, and a friend of mine, Mark Jones, uh, he said, "Oh, go and ask," and I was like, "Okay, no problem."
Yeah, I have not met a lot of the people that are interviewed, but I am friends with Giorgio and uh, William Henry and David Childress and Nick Pope and Travis Taylor and Linda Moulton Howe, and I mean I know quite a few, but some of the other people I have not met.
Well, with Ancient Aliens,
Hugh Newman, I know, who's from the UK.
oh, who's that then?
Hugh Newman, who's
Oh,
on the
Hugh
show.
knew it. Uh, See, I'm not familiar with it because the thing is with Ancient Aliens, my grandfather, or my Bampy, as I say,
Uh,
he watches it and I watch it with him. And it was just funny because I've listened to some of the times that you've narrated, and I listened to some of the times that they had the UK
yeah,
narration. And it's just really interesting. But I seen some of the credits, and I was like, oh, I know that. Oh, I know this. Oh, I know this. I want to learn more. I want to know more.
yeah,
Um, but with Ancient Aliens, so if we're staying on this topic,
sure.
of course, it's a very popular show. It's to do with extraterrestrials, and it's all to do with the fact that there are possibilities. There are possibilities that this could have happened back in the ancient civilization, from the pyramids to the Aztecs to
Hmm.
beyond. When you were first approached, especially with you, you're doing the narration, you're spitting out what is written on the script and everything.
Yeah.
From start to finish, what was your viewpoint of this sort of let's put it, information or the content that was put to you? What was your views at first, at the beginning, and then towards the end when Ancient Aliens stopped?
Well, I'd worked for the production company before, Prometheus. A fellow named Kevin Burns, the late Kevin Burns, was the principal here there. He created Ancient Aliens, and I'd worked with him on several documentaries. I guess, the most well known would be two that I did for Star Wars, called the Legacy Revealed, and what was what was the first one? Oh my goodness, now I can't remember. It dealt with the first three Star Wars movies when they were released on DVD, and it was a story of the making of them. And so he knew me, and I'd worked with him before. So he approached me and said, "Hey, I've got this show that I'm doing." And at that time, it was just a 2 hour documentary. It was just what we call in the business a one-off. You do one episode and that's it. And when I first started doing it, that first episode, it had to deal with the moon. And moon, I found the moon to be incredibly fascinating anyway. So I was intrigued by it, but it was also, a job. I gave it my best shot, and I thought the subject matter was interesting. I had not really thought about what is known as the ancient astronaut theory. I have since since that first episode learned quite a bit about the ancient astronaut theory. It's not ancient astronaut theory; it's the ancient astronaut theory. And I Kevin would say that he was a skeptic, but open to the information. And so, as the narrator, my job was to be his voice on the show. So I kind of tried to look at it that way, be skeptical about the information that was uh, being told, but at the same time open to the possibility that perhaps some of this might be true. And as the years have gone by, as I've gotten to know Giorgio in particular, who's a very, very good friend, and a lot of the other people that are on the show, it's, we started out as this show that was an outlier, and now we're pretty mainstream in that people from all uh, walks of life, all economic backgrounds, all kind of different people, professional people, just the average person, has tuned into the show, and it's become almost like I don't know, like a secret passion amongst a lot of people. And I've found that the subject matter that we discuss in the show is to be quite fascinating. I think that the show has only gotten better with time, and that's really rare. First of all, it's rare to have a show that goes as long as Ancient Aliens has. I think I've recorded over 250 episodes so far, and we keep going. I just did one 2 days ago, as a matter of fact. And we're going to have another season, so we keep going and going and plugging along. And so that's rare. And B, it's rare to have, I think, the quality to stay as high as it is. When Kevin first started the show, we did this one episode about the moon, and then the network wanted to do a couple of more episodes. He said okay, and then they wanted to do a couple of more episodes. And as a joke, after we did 5 or 6, he said he's run out of pyramids. He doesn't know what to talk about. Well, we've gone from where it was difficult to find subject matter to where it is now, where we really have to sift through the stuff that's out there. There's so much information that's coming out, and it
Mm.
seems like every single day. And it's difficult to refute everything. Maybe some of the stuff is not right, but all that well, you only need to be right once when it comes to something like this to change everything. And I've met some people that have been on the show who've had firsthand encounters that I can't question. And when that kind of stuff happens, it opens your eyes a little bit to
Yeah.
the possibilities.
I haven't seen loads of episodes of Ancient Aliens. As you said, it's about over 200 episodes, and it's a marathon, as
Yeah.
some people would suggest, to go through it. And like
Yeah.
my bump, who probably, there's a lot of different television stations and that and networks, different comparisons between the US and the Britain. But there's one called Blaze, I think it is. It's called
Uh-huh.
Blaze, and that's what is always on, and he watches it, and he is so he's into history, and
Mhm.
he's always he tries to be open-minded about the possibilities of extraterrestrials, and he doesn't say this is, because there's a lot of people who say this is the truth, this is fact and everything, and each to their own. I mean, I'm not going to judge, because as you said, you've met people that have
Yeah.
encountered, etc., and I always try to keep an open mind about that possibilities. But did you ever feel that when you're reading the script and you got it in your hand, that you're going to narrate, oh, this is what I have to say, that you've turned to the director and executive producers and gone, really?
All the time, actually all the time. Um, when I go into the studio, I don't get the script in advance. I prefer not to have that that knowledge ahead of time. I want to be influenced and affected by the information as I'm receiving it. And there's been numerous times in the show where a piece of information will come out, and it will. I'll, I call myself the last line of defense,
Mm,
because if I say it, it's pretty much going to be out there on the air. So if I don't understand something, I will question it. And as an example of some of the stuff that's really blown my mind is this was, I think, last season. We are talking about the Great Pyramid of Giza, and that where it is, if you take the planet and you have latitude and longitude, and you place the pyramid right where it is, and look at the latitude and longitude, it is the speed of light in meters per second to like the umpteenth decimal point. I mean, it's insane. How is that possible? How is that? What are the odds that the Egyptians would have just decided, let's put it here, not even knowing that, there is a speed of light at that time. I guess at that time it's just the sun, so it's just light. They're
mm,
not even thinking that it's moving in any way. Um, so when and that's just an example of the stuff that pops up that I look at and go,
mm,
wow, this is really cool. This is really fascinating and interesting.
mm,
Sometimes I'll be I'm not completely convinced. I know we did an episode once about Bigfoot and whether
mm,
there was some kind of a human hybrid experiment gone horribly wrong that created a Bigfoot. I thought maybe we're stretching things a little bit. We're reaching for something that we may not be able to achieve. But yeah, you're always going to have an episode that's going to be weaker than others. But I think the shows that we've been doing recently have been phenomenally good. Really,
Yeah.
really good.
Did you ever? I think the one that really sells me the idea is I used to. Are you ever familiar with familiar with Mr. Ballin on YouTube? Are you familiar with that YouTuber?
Mm-mm.
Um, he's I'd love to have him on my show one day. Um, but he's a YouTuber, but what he does is basically he tells the story as it is, whether it be a true crime, whether it be a paranormal,
Mhm.
whatever. But it's not like one of those narrations like with Ancient Aliens, how you narrate it and you add in the music, you add in the graphics and
Yeah.
everything. No, he's just there with the camera and he tells you as
Mm.
what
Mm.
happens. And I came across the Travis Walton story, which is, of course, one of the most prolific, famous stories that is going around in that field. Did you ever get to meet Travis Walton? And well, there we go, the head shaking up. And but when you read
No.
his story, what was your opinion on the Travis Walton story?
Well,
Because
fill me in a little bit because I mean, there's so many that I've got running around in my head. I want to make sure I know what you're talking about.
okay, so Travis Walton was it was a group of I think it's called loggers. They were
Uh-huh.
finishing a job. They're in the forest and they're on their way back. There was 6 or 7 of them, and they see a bright orange light in the distance in the woods. So they go to that area, and as soon as they get to the clearing, they see a UFO. And Travis Walton decides to go and inspect it. So he goes to have a look at this UFO, and what happened to him was that his friends who were his workmates, they're saying, "Come back, Travis, come back! Don't be stupid!" And basically he gets zapped by this UFO, and the truckers basically they just fled, but out of guilt they had to go back and see if he's okay. But they believed that he was dead, and as soon as he came back, he was gone and they looked everywhere for him. And then they told the police department in that area, Snowflake, Arizona, it was in.
Mhm.
How I know that, I don't know. But basically, I think it was the sheriff's department who basically said, "Yeah, we don't believe you. Where did you hide Travis's body and everything?"
Yeah.
And they were they were tested on the lie detector, but and fascinating. Where am I coming up with that word? A fascinating discovery is that they were all telling the truth. They
Mhm.
didn't make up their story. None
Mhm.
of them were out of place saying, "Well, this happened," but your friend said that happened. It was all word for word perfect. And I think 5 days later, Travis Walton is found on the road. He's picked up by his brother, and he tells him, "I've been abducted by aliens, and this is what they did to me." I don't know if you ever.
If I'm remembering it right, I might have even read. I mean, did he write a book about his experiences?
Yeah, Fire in the
Because I
Sky.
yeah, because I think I did meet him. Is he from? God, I want to say he's not from Arizona. Is he from?
It's got to be from Arizona.
Okay, okay. It might be the same because I did meet a fellow at one of the Alien Con conventions, and this story sounds very, very similar to that. And he actually gave me a copy of his book, and I did read it. If it's the same one, it's he came across when I met him as a very humble guy, not a fellow that was seeking the limelight. So he had no ulterior motive for telling this story, other than the fact that this is something that happened to him,
Mm,
and he needed to kind of get it out off of his chest. Um, there are so many similar accounts to this that I don't deny. I mean, I'll tell you a story. I met a woman who worked at NASA, and not just worked at NASA. If you've seen Apollo 13, the movie, the
mm,
mission control, and you see all those people at the computers in that big room, she's one of those people. Her job was to monitor the vital signs of the astronauts who were on Apollo, I think 16 at the time, and it was Gene. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to think of the command module pilot. Not Gene Cernan, but Gene Evans. Gene Evans
mm,
was his name. And when the other two astronauts were on the moon. Gene Evans was flying around. He stayed in the command module and he had to orbit the moon. And when he was on the backside of the moon, of course, he's out of radio contact. When he comes back after one of these orbits around the backside of the moon, he is back in radio contact, and the commander who is on the moon, the commander of the mission, asks him how he's doing. He says, "You're lonely up there," and he responds and says, I'm not alone." Well, and this was broadcast where anybody could hear it. Well, as soon as that happened, mission control shifted to a more secure line. And this woman that I know, she switched to that secure line as well. Remember, her job is to monitor the vital signs of the astronauts on the mission. So she's right there in the heart of it. And mission control asks him what he's talking about. And he describes this object that's following him in formation around the moon. He says that from stem to stern, the command module is maybe 17 feet. He estimated this to be over 40 feet in length. He said it had acrylic markings on the side of it. He said it's not Russian, it's not American, I don't know what this thing is. He took photographs of this. It followed him for, I think, 3.5 orbits around the moon and then sped off. Now, this woman was also on the support ship out in the ocean when the astronauts landed on Earth in the ocean. And she saw him in one of the staterooms, and she went in and talked to him about it. And he said, "Oh, you're aware of the anomaly?" She goes, "Yeah, I was there. I listened to it." And he just said this was nothing he'd ever seen in his entire life. Now, this fellow was a fighter pilot in Vietnam. The guy's not easily rattled. And she said he was definitely rattled by this. Now, this is somebody that's not telling me a story of what they heard. This is somebody telling me, this is what I experienced. I was there. I listened to this conversation. I talked to him. And she told me another story about some people that were abducted in Texas that NASA investigated. And they found that the section of road that they were in a car that where they claimed that they were abducted, that road had been replaced. Basically, they dug up the asphalt, the ground all around it, and replaced it. Who did it? Wasn't Texas says they didn't do it. The county says they didn't do it. It happened mysteriously. Somebody did it. Hmm. So, his story certainly aligns with some of these that I've heard personally that I find incredibly credible. So, what are my thoughts about it? Man, it's something happened.
Yeah.
Too many people are telling the same story.
Because it's one of those things. It's like in nowadays when people talk about aliens and everything, they say, "Oh, I believe in it." Some people go, "Yeah, all right then." And it's like, I don't challenge it. I like to ask questions more to make people think. And a lot of people say, "Oh, conspiracy theories, etc., etc." And yeah, there's some you can refute or dispute or whatever. But I always say, listen, we're a tiny planet in a big galaxy. Are you meaning to tell me that we're the only race ever? If we are, fair play to us.
Yeah,
but
and if our planet, I think, is 5 billion years old. I was at a convention where William Henry and David Childress were on it, and what's to say that humanity, human civilization, we only know goes back a few 100,000 years, if that. I think the Sumerians. We just did an episode last year about the Sumerians. That was like 3,500 or 5,000 BC. So it's not that long ago. And as far as 100,000 years, 1,000,000 years on a planet that's 5 billion years old, who's to say that human civilization hasn't come and gone and come and gone a multitude of times?
And that's the mystery.
Yeah, that's the mystery. Whenever we dig deep into the earth, we always find something older. We never go, well, that's it. We can't find anything older. We always find something older. So, and there's so many questions. I think that's one of the reasons why the show is so popular, is because we ask these questions. We come up with theories as to what this might be, and then we leave it to the audience. We respect the audience. Say, what do you think? Have that water cooler discussion about this. That's why when I ask those questions, the is it possibles and could it be and what if it were true, uh, as me, Robert Clotworthy, I'm really asking those questions. Because I'm curious. When I go into the studio, I treat it as if it's my first day on the job, and I'm interested in the subject matter. And when I say those questions, and when I say ancient astronaut theorists say yes, uh, it's 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 interesting to me. I mean, I know a couple of times they've said no. They don't
Mm,
always say yes, but they more often say yes.
mm. Did you ever, I think the final question on Ancient Aliens, and obviously there are going to be some people who dispute it publicly about it. So, people like some scientists or archaeologists
Mhm.
and those kind of people in the field, respected people in the field as well. Did you yourself personally ever come across an archaeologist or astronomer or anyone who dealt with in the field ever come up to you and gone, mm, that can't be right, or challenged you on what you said, even though again it's you just reading the script that you're supplied? Did you ever have that encounter?
No, if anything, it's been the opposite. I've had people come up to me who have been to a lot of these sites, including, people on the show like Giorgio, and they go to Puma Punka and you go, how is this possible that this was built by humans at that time without help somewhere? Because they didn't have it's not like they were stupid. It's not dismissing them. It's saying the technology was not there. They didn't have the tools to cut stone like that and to cut it that precisely. When Giorgio went to Non Madal, who I thought that was a fascinating episode. First of all, Non Madal is in the middle of nowhere.
Mm,
It is hot. It is humid. It's basically, most of it is underwater. And there's these enormous blocks that were brought to build these structures. And I think they brought like a structural engineer from UCLA with them. And he said, we couldn't build this with the technology we have now. They said, how do you think this was built? We go, we have no idea. I have no idea how this was possibly built. You couldn't put these blocks on a boat and bring it over because the boats were reed boats. It would just break through the bottom of the boat. You couldn't do it. And yet here it was. And there's nothing around it. Why did people go there? Why did they do these things? They must have had a reason.
yeah,
And that's the curious aspect, is trying to figure out what this was. Why were people doing this? That were they getting influenced somehow? Quite possibly.
yeah. And
Stay
we
tuned.
may, yeah, stay tuned, you never know. Moving on from Ancient Aliens, of
Uh-huh.
course, you've done a lot of voice work, done a lot of
Mhm.
acting roles, etc. But I was doing some research and I was digging deep. And now, if I'm right, when you were young, it was said that you met the likes of Jerry Stiller,
Oh yeah.
Mel Blanc. Now, I want
Yeah.
to know because I want to know about Mel Blanc because obviously that guy is the voice of majority of the Looney Tunes, and
Yeah.
he's basically
He was
one of
everybody.
the yeah, he was everybody, and I think he's one of the greatest voice actors
Mhm.
ever. What was it like to say in the presence of Mel Blanc, or what was it like to come and meet him?
Well, my father was in advertising at the time, and his job, he would produce radio commercials. So he would hire these people to come in and do these different radio commercials. And I would come down to the studio with him occasionally, especially if there were people like Mel Blanc or June Foray or Jerry Stiller, Ann Mira, Dawes Butler, some of these people that were coming down because they were the voices of the cartoon characters that I was listening to when I was a little kid. So it was incredibly magical. And I'll tell you a cute story. As a kid, I was a very picky eater. I did not like to eat vegetables. Now I love vegetables, but as a kid, did not like vegetables. So my father came home from work one day and he had, at that time, he had honestly a record album. It was a vinyl record. And he said, "You got to hear this." I said, "Okay." He put it on the phonograph or whatever it was, and the stereo. And it was all of these actors, Mel Blanc, Dawes Butler, Jerry Stiller, June Foray. I mean, all, you name it, all of them. And they were, as their characters, they were telling me how important it was to eat my vegetables. Now, I remember hearing it, playing it, but I was a pretty stubborn kid. I said, I'm still not going to eat my vegetables. And that record went somewhere. I don't know where it is at this point, but it was looking back on it, it was spectacular
Mm.
because not only was there um, this amazing talent that you're watching, but as a kid, you're you're not thinking, wow, these people are talented. You're just seeing the joy. You're just seeing the magic
Mm.
that's happening. You're seeing these characters. You're seeing the laughter, the fun, and so it inspired me in a very real way, and also it showed me the importance of giving back. And I see that in most of the people in the voiceover community, and I know a lot of people that are incredibly gifted and popular uh, actors that do voice work, cartoon characters, The Simpsons, you name it. I know all these people, and to a person, each and every one of them will give time, especially to kids who are fans of whatever that character is, and reach out to them. I have a good friend who's the voice of Goofy. Uh, Bill Farmer. He's been doing it for 30 years. If if there's a kid that needs a call from Goofy on his birthday, Bill does it. He'll do
Mm.
it. Absolutely. Because we all remember what it was like as a kid when that person did that for you. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So it was spectacular. It was it was magical. Yeah, yeah. It gave me great love for it, and yeah, I'll never forget it. And thank you, Dad.
Well, it was really interesting because not long ago, I think a few months ago, I sat down with Billy West, who
Okay.
and he was doing the voices of the characters from Futurama. He was
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd, when she did in Space Jam. And I'm sat there, I'm looking at him, I'm going, dude, you're my childhood. You're the voice of my childhood, man.
yeah,
And he was like, that's why he does it. That's why he goes to these Comic Cons. That's why he does these voices, because he
yeah,
knows that he
yeah,
will bring the joy
yeah,
to kids. Because child, I mean, we probably have sat down once in a while and gone, let's be a kid again, because there was no kid care in the world. Just went out, had fun. The world was a big place, and we all loved the Mickey Mouse. We all loved the Goofies. We all loved the Bugs Bunnies and everything.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
I look at I'm obviously with today's technology, you get the phones and everyone's just like that. I'm like, man, you're missing out.
Oh, big time, big time. Yeah,
Yeah.
Billy is a really good guy, and I've been to many conventions. A lot of people have come up to me, and since I've done StarCraft as a huge video game, and Ancient Aliens and Curse of Oak Island, all this stuff, and it's gone on for so long that people have come up to me and said, "You're the voice of my childhood.
Mm.
Your voice was in my house all the time. It was playing in the background when I was, studying for my exams, going to medical school, whatever the heck it is." I've had people tell me that watching Ancient Aliens, I had this one woman come up to me. I'll never forget it. She was in a wheelchair, young woman, and with a couple of kids, and she said, "I'm in this chair and I'm very confined. I can't do a lot, But when I watch these shows, I hear your voice, and they go to these locations, I feel like I'm there with you. And that's the kind of thing that you can't anticipate as a voice actor. You just have to feel honored
Mm.
that that somebody feels that way and feel blessed and feel very fortunate that some in some way I was able to give these people some joy, some laughter, some fun, uh, and I try to give back as well. I mean, whatever I'm giving, I'm getting so much more in return from the people. That's for sure.
Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalised keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewellery, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF627EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You can even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewelry Workshops. Vale Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248.
Another thing as well that you did, and I had to look back, and because I got the DVD in the cabinet, and it was
Okay.
American Sniper,
Yeah.
and it was you with Bradley Cooper, and you're being directed by Clint Eastwood, man. And I'm just thinking, you're in that scene,
Yeah.
and you're with obviously Bradley Cooper is this generation's
Yeah.
maybe Clint Eastwood,
He's
and
really,
but
he's
for
really,
you,
really good.
how was that for you? Let me ask about Clint Eastwood first, because obviously the man who's directed it, this is the man who my grandfather
Yeah.
idolized growing up,
Yeah.
and still kicking him out. What was that like for you?
Well, first of all, with people call him Clint. I don't call. He's still Mr. Eastwood to me.
Mm,
Um, when you audition for him, you don't audition in front of him. From what I've heard, is that he, as an actor, did not like the audition process, going in, performing a scene and being told no. That was rough. So him as a director or as a producer, he also doesn't feel comfortable doing that. He doesn't enjoy it. So basically, all your stuff is done with a casting director. It's put on tape, and then Mr. Eastwood will look at it and he'll decide who he wants in the movie. So bottom line is, I get cast, and I've not met him yet. You're just working on a film with Clint Eastwood and Bradley Cooper, and here's your scene. I'm thinking, okay, this, and I had read Chris Kyle's book. I had heard interviews with Chris Kyle, so I was very familiar with this story. And it was one of those things where I really wanted to be in it because I felt a connection to the story as well. And you show up on set, and when I first saw Mr. Eastwood, uh, we hadn't even blocked the scene yet. Blocked meaning we hadn't even directed, hadn't even done anything. This car shows up, and it's one of those, I don't know, it's like a Prius, it's like a Yugo. I mean, it's a tiny car. A tiny car pulls up, and out of the driver's seat, um, starts is Clint Eastwood. Now, Clint Eastwood is not a small guy. He's in this tiny little car, and he's like kind of, unfolding himself as he gets out. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is really happening. Clint Eastwood is here. And you go into where they're serving lunch, and he's just sitting there like everybody else having lunch. And I'm thinking, should I say hello? No, I can't do that. I mean, he's having lunch. I don't want to disturb him. And I'd memorized my lines, and I was ready to go in. And the writer of the script comes up to me, and he says, Robert, Bradley wants to expand on the scene. And I thought, my heart like just skipped a beat. And I went, oh no, are they going to give me all new lines here, a completely new scene? I'm going to memorize that. There's that moment of panic. And then he tells me, he goes, no, 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 no. Bradley wants to improvise. And for me, that was like the answer to a prayer. I said, really? Because yeah, there's a lot of things in Chris Kyle's story that we can't really thematically show in a movie. Like how do you show how long a tour of duty is? How do you, what you're going to show, sit in the theater for 300 days and and experience it? No. So it was like, I want also how many confirmed kills versus actual kills. I mean, there was all this information. He says we want to be able to bring that out in the scene. I said, great. So he and I just sat and we figured out a couple of the key topics that we wanted to discuss in the scene. And then we shot the second scene first, which was where I take Chris Kyle and Bradley Cooper to meet some soldiers that had been wounded. And as originally that scene was not in the movie. It was not scripted, but that was added to it. And so when we did the main scene, I knew where we needed to go, where I needed to get him. I needed to get him to agree to go to meet these soldiers. Uh, and I knew what happened prior to that in the scene where he really lost it. He almost like took a belt to a dog, and people were screaming, and he knew that he was in trouble. And I show up on set, and it's just me in this small room with Bradley Cooper sitting across from me at this desk, the camera operator, and 3 feet away is Clint Eastwood. And I'm thinking, oh wow, how did I get into this room? what what strange set of circumstances? How did the stars align so perfectly that it's me in this room with these people? Now, Bradley Cooper he had disappeared. He was so locked into this character. I mean, I'm sure you remember, he put on weight. He didn't look like himself. The only thing that looked like him was his eyes. I mean, there's no way that you can hide his blue eyes because they're really, really intense. And I thought, okay, I'm the one that starts this scene out because Bradley Cooper doesn't want to be here. His character does not want to be talking to a therapist. And I thought, what can I say to start off the scene that would throw him for a loop? Now, I don't know if you've ever been to therapy. I don't know if you're married or not, whatever. But I thought, I got it. And so we did not rehearse it. Let's just shoot it. Let's just shoot it. And I started out by saying, your wife called me. And I could see Bradley's eyes. They just kind of went like this. He's such a good actor. He takes in so much information, and he just is so present. And I could see in his eyes, and I'm sure when people see the scene, that he knew that he was caught, that he had to be honest, and he could not lie to me, and he had to be truthful, and all that was happening in a millisecond. And so the scene, as you look at it, is completely improvised. I mean, there's a couple of little things that were kept in there. I changed the end because the end originally you were supposed to just write a prescription, and I said, no, I'm not going to write him a prescription. I'm going to challenge him, see if he really wants to help these people. And when Clint directs, most, you think about movies, you think it's like action, cut. No, he just he says
Go on.
he says, go. Okay, stop. And the second scene, the first time on the set, I was there with Bradley Cooper, and we were supposed to go around a corner into a hallway because the camera's there, and I'm I'm supposed to lead him, and Bradley's standing next to me, and I hear this voice go, and Bradley turns to me and says, "That means action." So I went, "Okay." So we did it, and and he just creates this atmosphere on the set that is so relaxed. It's so it's so it's like you're insulated in a bubble. The outside world is not exist. You're just present. You're there. And it was actually with all those nerves, all that stuff, it was probably one of the easiest things I've ever done. And the reason it was because Clint Eastwood is so he knows what he's doing. He hires the right people, he casts it really well, and he allows the actors to do their thing first. He doesn't over direct. And with Bradley, he was so locked into the performance. All he and I never stepped on a line, and this was an improvised scene. We were just talking and listening to one another, and it was the scene that ended up being Clint Eastwood's favorite scene in the movie. It was the scene that they showed at the Academy Awards when Bradley Cooper was nominated. Uh, and what's funny is after I finished the scene, I talked to the writer. I said, you know what we did in that scene would also make a really good trailer. And damned if they didn't use most of the dialogue, at least a good portion of the dialogue from that scene, is for the trailer of the movie. It was just this, and it was just so easy to do because everybody was at the top of their game, everybody was relaxed, everybody was present, and we just allowed it to be. And we did it, I don't know, 8, 9 times. I even went up to Mr. Eastwood once, said, are you happy? I needed something. Just like, yeah. He's just like, he'll tell you if he doesn't like it, but
With those squinty
so
eyes and everything.
yeah, I just give you the squinty eyes, and afterwards, I had him and Bradley sign my script, of
Oh
course.
wow.
Yeah, Bradley even did a thing. I don't know if you from World War II. There was this old thing called Kilroy was here, which shows this. It was
Oh
a
yeah, the
guy. Yeah,
thing,
exactly.
the
So
nose and the yeah.
he drew that on it for me. It was really, really, really amazing, and
My God.
I feel really honored to have been in the film, and it made a ton of money, and it came out at just the right time where people needed a hero and a good guy, and it was a tragic story because he was killed uh, while we were making the movie.
Hmm.
And so the ending of the film is actually, the scenes from his funeral.
Yeah.
But
You know
yeah,
what?
it was amazing. Yeah, that was incredible.
Walk down any hall in the hospital, plenty of soldiers need saving.
That's what I say. That's right. That's
I
right.
love that line. It
Yeah,
was just, it was just. I don't know what Bradley Cooper said, but it was that line. I said that to him. He goes, "Walk down any hall, and soldiers need saving." I just like, you know,
yeah. I think I said, "You want to take that walk?"
yeah.
Something to that effect, and he was like, "Yeah, okay." Yeah, it was a pivotal moment for his character because he had to change gears. He had to go, okay, my life, the trajectory that it's going is going to shift right here.
Yeah.
Now I've got a new purpose, and I I saw Bradley probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when he was working on A Star Is Born, and we sat and talked for a while, and he just you know he's just such a phenomenal actor and such a really good guy,
Mm.
really really good guy.
Do you ever feel that, you know how I was reading an article about Bradley Cooper,
Mhm,
and they were talking about Maestro,
mhm.
and they were talking about the fact that this is a man that this is an actor, director, and writer who's going after the Oscar and everything. Do you think in my opinion, because it's been going around that because A Star Is Born, Maestro, they never really picked up any Oscars and never really picked up an Oscar for any of the performances or producing the films that he was in. Do you think it's fair to say that, well, no, this is a man who loves his craft and maybe he will get an Academy Awards one day, maybe he won't, but do you think it's fair to say that people are calling him what was it they call him, like an Oscar chaser? It's like, I'm making a
Oh
film.
no, I never got a sense of that at all.
Mm,
You know, and listen, we're not like close friends by any
mm,
stretch of the imagination, but I have worked with him. I have talked with him, and I, if there's a show called Inside the Actors Studio
yeah.
where have you ever seen the one where Bradley Cooper's in the audience?
Yeah, he was in it in a couple
Yeah,
of episodes, wasn't he?
yeah, and you could see this is a person, he's just passionate about what it is he does. Uh, I I never got a sense that he was like a control freak, that he's picking things because he wants to win an Oscar. He's choosing roles and the people he wants to work with um, based on what's interesting to him, what's challenging to him. I mean, Maestro is uh, it, his commitment to what it is he's doing. And it's I don't get a sense of falseness from him. You maybe it's just the fact that he's a really talented, really good looking, charismatic, and talented at the same time that people just are a little bit envious that all of that just came to one person. But you know, from personal experience, I can't speak highly enough about him. He's just treated me well. Um, in fact, you know, at the studio where I record Ancient Aliens, that's where he was doing some of the post production on Maestro, and one of the you know the office manager, the guy that runs the studio, was telling me a couple of weeks ago because I was talking for some reason Bradley Cooper came up. He says, "Oh yeah, you know that day, you know they were all waiting for him, you know, wondering where he was and why wasn't he there?" And you know I had to tell him. I said, "Well, he's out there talking to Robert." And so he's not a guy that blows you off. I mean, who am I? I'm just a guy that was in a scene with him in a movie that, you know, he's moved on from that. But he sat and talked with me. He's an actor. I'm an actor. And we just kind of talked acting. And it was just person to person. It wasn't like me to Bradley Cooper. It was just two guys talking.
Yeah.
And so if I just think he's just one of those really, really good guys, really, really
Mm,
good guys. And when you're that good, and also you know you're not doing anything weird in life, that people are going to want to take that down a little bit. But he will eventually get his due. Believe me, he's too
yeah.
good. And if anything, it'll just maybe motivate him, challenge him a little bit more to dig a little bit deeper. And I think for all of us who are fans of him and fans of movies, for him to dig deeper, that's going to be exciting. You
Yeah.
know, I don't think he's the kind of guy that's going to phone in a performance. Even when he did, what was it, what was the where he played the voice of the squirrel or whatever, you know, he, Guardians of the Galaxy. He's
Oh,
still,
Raccoon. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, he's raccoon. He's still giving it, man. He gives it
Yeah.
100%, you know, it's almost, you know, good performance should be pretty invisible.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even see it. It should just be afterwards you go, oh, wow. Yeah, that really affected me. That was Bradley Cooper. Oh, I forgot. If you can forget that it's Bradley Cooper while he's performing, because he's pretty well known, he's doing his job. And believe me, it's hard for him to disappear because he's so well known.
Yeah. moving on to I mean, you go from there's a few episodes that obviously you've done a lot of television, and we can go through it all, but uh, the two that caught my eye are basically the two that involved. I hope I got his last name right, Chuck Lorre. Um,
Chuck Lorre.
Chuck Lorre, that's it. I
Yeah.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Chuck Lorre. Oh, okay, Chuck Lorre. Chuck
Like,
Lorre.
like the truck, Lorre.
Oh, Lorre. um, Two and a Half Men,
Yeah.
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's a bit of a connection with Ancient Aliens and Big Bang Theory because of science and everything. But
Yeah.
because you were in both productions and the Chuck Lorre, what was that for you to be in those two shows? And forgive me, I can't remember the episodes. It's like I said about the Ancient Aliens. There's 200 episodes. Remember?
Yeah. It's interesting when if you go on IMDb, you can look at number of episodes, how many people have done how many episodes of any particular show. And I know for Two and a Half Men, I'm probably in the top 15 as far as people that have been on the show multiple episodes, top 20 certainly. And it was all voice work, and it's you know I felt like I was part of the Chuck Lorre road show or something that his traveling acting troupe, because he kept plugging me into all these shows they did. I also did Young Sheldon, which is one of his shows. Uh, he's a phenomenally gifted guy. He's very serious, but at the same time, he has a lot of fun. With Chuck Lorre, you don't necessarily try to improve on what he's written, because what he's written is pretty darn good. You just give it your best shot. Um, and with Two and a Half Men, pardon me, with Big Bang Theory, I think I did, oh my goodness, 8 or 9 episodes. I'm trying to remember it. Actually, one of them on camera, where I played the what the president of or the chancellor of a university that um, one of the guys had graduated from, and it was when the first time I worked on that show, it was, I think, in the first season, and I saw the cast. They were sitting out in the parking lot, in between breaks or whatever it was, taking a break, and they're just out there, John and it was the first season, so they had no idea whether the show was going to be popular or not. They were all hopeful that it would be, and I went up to them and talked to them a little bit and said, "Hey, listen, this is really good. You guys are going to have a long run." And for some reason, I have a pretty good track record when it comes to that. Oh, but I'll tell you what. I'll tell you one thing. Mayim Bialik on Big Bang, I had worked with her on an episode of I doubt very highly this made it to the UK. It was Dick Clark's Practical Jokes and Bloopers, and she was on a show called, oh God, when she was a kid. It was like just the kid's name. I can't remember whether it was Flower or something like that. And she was just maybe 10, 11 years old. Blossom. That was it. Blossom. Flower, Blossom. And at the time, apparently she was a big fan of whales, not the country, but of whales in the ocean. I see. Well, bring it all back around, back to whales and whales. And so what we did was we set up this fake science team that was out on a dock in Central California, like Oxnard or something. And her mother brought her down, and I was like the lead scientist, and we were telling her that we have a group of whales that are off the coast, that we put these speakers in the water. We're trying to communicate with the whales. They have microphones, and we uh, we had a guy, one of the producers, who was like in a booth that was kind of hidden around the corner, and he would make whale sounds like like that kind of a thing. And we would have her. We said, "Well, why don't you want to try to talk to the whales?" And she said, "Sure." And so she would talk to the whales, and of course there was another guy that was reporting back, saying, was out on the boat, saying, "Oh, the whales are reacting to your voice. Say more, keep talking." And she would keep saying, "Hello, hello, can you hear me? My name's Mayim." And they go, "Keep going. One of them's breaching now. One of them's coming out of the water." So she kept going and encouraged her. And then the guy in the booth started saying her name like, Ma'am. I said, they're saying your name, Ma'am. And she, eventually we told her that it was all a big gag, but I reminded her of that because she actually does have a PhD. She is truly a scientist.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun working on all those shows. As you can tell, I'm smiling just remembering the experiences.
What was it like to be working with? Because you said it's going to go on for a long time, Big Bang
Yeah.
Theory, and how right you were as well.
Yep.
Being next to or performing or speaking to Jim Parsons,
Mhm.
who is a respected actor. I think he's
Oh yeah.
underrated actor. I think he's a
Oh yeah.
really underrated because every time they mention the Big Bang Theory, it's like, oh, I love him in the Big Bang Theory. I'm like, yeah, but he's done loads of other things that I think are up there, you know. But what was that? What, in your opinion, what was it like to be speaking to him, and what's your views on
A,
him?
they're all really personable. They're really, really nice. Um, and I got a sense, they, especially, the main cast like Jim, they have to work really, really hard.
Mm,
People forget how much pressure is on them, and because they're carrying the show. The show relies on them being good each and every week. You can't really be off. And so they have to really focus, concentrate, be disciplined, and at the same time, be able to be loose enough to be able to perform and be funny. Um, and, a sitcom like that, man, you get new pages just about every single day because the writers are constantly rewriting. And when it comes time to shoot, I'm trying to think. I think it was Tuesday nights we would do that show. You bring a live audience in, and they'll do each scene, maybe at least once, obviously, sometimes twice if there's a problem, or they may do a pickup in the middle of a scene if they need to. But you've got to keep your energy up as well, and it's I just have great respect for that because that's I don't having done 200 and some odd episodes of Ancient Aliens is nowhere near the kind of effort and focus and concentration and pressure that they are under when they're performing each and every week when they're doing 20 some odd episodes. It's basically a 5 days a week. It's you show up on Monday, you're filming it in front of the live audience on Friday. You do a tech rehearsal in front of an audience, and then the main one at 8 o'clock or whenever the heck it is. Uh, and he's just you just know how talented he is. You see the mind working. You see how they're able to make adjustments when the director says, "Can you give me a little of this? Give me a little bit of that?" And you go, "Oh my goodness!" They're able to do that on the fly. Part of that is that you get into a rhythm. You get into kind of a groove. If you're on that and you're doing it every week, man, it gets to be, I don't want to say automatic, but it's a little bit easier than a guest star that's coming in and just trying to catch up in that week. That's a little bit challenging. But everybody on that show, I think, was very appreciative of where they were. They knew that this was, lightning had been caught in a bottle. And I was speaking to oh God, Kimmy. She played Simon's wife on the show, and that's not her real voice. And I asked her about it. I said, "Did you, as an actor, I always ask these questions." I said, "Did you audition with that voice?" She goes, "Yeah." She said, "I wanted to be different than everybody else, so I took a big risk." And she said that voice is basically, I think she said it was like her grandmother or an aunt or somebody in her family. And she decided to do an impression of her. And she came up with that high, squeaky voice, and she hit a home run with it. So I love those stories because it's stories about an actor taking a risk, putting it all out on the line, and having it come up. It's encouraging. Too many people play it safe.
Mm. And you got to as well, haven't you? As an actor or whatever, got to make that. You got to
Yeah,
punch it.
you've got to do something different because everybody, at the professional level, even in voiceover, everybody's pretty good at the professional level. There's always going to be a few people that are, maybe not as talented, but especially in voiceover because I've worked with people, they're graduates of RADA. They've gone to the Actors Studio. I mean, these if they have advanced degrees, Yale drama. It's like really okay. I worked with a guy a few years ago on a was it was it Xander Cage Triple X one of those movies, and we were just doing ADR where we go in there to do background voices for the characters that are in there, and that day it happened to be efforts. So it's like, okay, here's a guy that's falling off a motorcycle. Give me a sound. You go, oh, okay, great, perfect. Next, okay, here's a guy that's getting stabbed in the chest. Can you give me something? It's like, okay, fine, perfect. That's all you're doing is that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So we're all doing grunts and groans and efforts and that like that. And there's this one guy, and I had not worked with before, and I introduced myself to him, and he says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to New York in a couple of weeks." I said, "Really? What are you doing there?" He goes, "Well, uh, I'm opening a Broadway show." I said, "Really? Well, what's the show?" Miss Saigon. I said, "Really? What part are you playing?" He says, "Well, I'm the God, what's the lead role? It's the
Not the engineer, is it? But
yeah,
it is
the engineer. Yeah,
oh,
he's the engineer." And the guy turns out it was the London cast. He was nominated for an Olivier Award for his performance as the engineer in
one
Miss
minute.
Saigon, and here he is going with me on a set. So I tell people that story just so you know the level of the competition that's out there. Okay, it's really really good. So you have to be really really good. People think, oh, I can talk. People tell me I have a good voice. Sorry, you need to have a little bit more than that. Otherwise, you're going to get blown out of the water.
Is that Jonathan Price? Was it?
No, 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 no. It wasn't Jonathan Price. It was
So I was
I
gonna
can't,
say then, if you would have said Jonathan Price, I was like a Welshman. Oh my goodness.
no, it wasn't Jonathan Price. It wasn't Jonathan Price.
Oh man.
So this was the the I guess the
No, is
reboot of it.
oh yeah. Oh, what's his name? Funny enough, I was actually watching. She was in Hadestown,
Yeah,
and I
sure he
was,
was.
oh my god,
He's
he's
good. He's
terrific.
good.
He's an
Yeah.
amazing actor, absolutely fantastic.
Okay,
Because
of
he's
course,
amazing, and we don't even know his name.
we're gonna have to Google him after this. I
I'm
can
gonna have to email you going, oh yeah.
I can pull him up a picture that I took with him on set that day because I don't cause I saw right. And actually, I was going to New York like a few months after that, and he gave me his number, and he able to snag a couple of house seats for me and get me backstage to the show. So it was great.
Yeah. Last question here for you, Robert.
Yeah.
And I always ask all my guests this question: how do you look back on your career?
Hmm. It's that's an interesting question because I just the other day somebody had posted a video of a TV show that I did when I think I just turned 18. It was Columbo, and worked with Patrick McGowan,
Mm.
was one of my favorite actors. Um, and I was looking and going, wow, okay, that was, I did okay. Um, and I think about looking back at, I wish I would have, uh, yeah, sounds trite, know then what I know now. Um, because I think I would have, I did so many shows. I was so fortunate. I was so lucky. I've always worked. So I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky. I've been able to work with amazing people. Um, as a kid, I think I took it a little too not seriously enough. I think I would have liked to put in a little bit more effort. I mean, some of it is opportunities that were given to me that I didn't take advantage of. I learned many years ago, uh, uh, just in, just to be honest, this is the only time I've ever done this, and this must have been, goodness, 30 plus years ago, 40 years, I don't even know how many years ago. A psychic. And I don't remember what she said. It was a lot of it was bullshit. You're going to be involved in a international thing. You'll be an ambassador to this country or that country. I'm like, yeah, right. But one thing that she said was, you need to learn to say thank you. And what she meant by that was to accept what happens to you. Don't say I'm not worthy. No, please. Don't say no to the opportunities. Be thankful and say thank you. And as a for instance, I was good friends with a fellow named Chris Rydell, who I met doing a movie. His father is Mark Rydell, who directed On Golden Pond, and at the time was the artistic director of the Actors Studio here in Hollywood. I Mark put me in a couple of his movies. What was one? I can't remember. One with Bette Midler, or for the boys. Another thing about the Charles Lindbergh kidnapping. So we became friends through his son, and he put me in a couple of his movies. He invited me to come down and sit in at the Actors Studio. I could just audit and be around it. And I didn't take advantage of the opportunity. Why? I didn't feel worthy. I didn't want to impose. I didn't want to take advantage. Whatever it is, whatever those things are that stop you from doing what you should be doing, I let that get in the way and I didn't take an advantage of it. So I wish I had done that more when I was a kid. Just said, okay, let's go for it. Yeah. Because I found later in life that when a door opens, it may not be the door that you're looking for, but it's the door that's opened. Say thank you and walk through that door. And whenever I've done that, good things have happened. It's the only regrets I've had are when I turned down things. Like I turned down Seinfeld like 3 or 4 times to be on Seinfeld because I was just, they didn't pay you enough money, or the part wasn't big enough, whatever the heck it was. As opposed to just saying, yeah, okay, sure, 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 and have that experience and build on that. So I did learn that lesson. I walk through the doors now, and I'm incredibly happy. I think I'm having more fun now than I was when I was a kid, and I was having a blast as a kid. I mean, just think about it. You're 16 years old. I worked with Peter Sellers on a commercial. Peter Sellers,
My
okay?
viewer, I can
Yeah.
fuck.
And he was dressed, it was for, what the heck, it was you, no, it was TWA, the Trans World Airlines, doesn't even exist anymore. And he
Yeah.
was dressed as a Scotsman. The whole bit was he did these commercials because he was a Scotsman and he was so cheap, but he was amazed at how all the luxury that he got. So he was dressed in the kilt and the cap with the feather and the beard and everything full on out. And somewhere there's a Polaroid picture they took of me and him because I was like the valet, with the car, handing him the keys to the car in the commercial. So I've worked with Charlton Heston. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I go, oh my goodness, really? Yeah. So it's been a ton of fun. Uh, uh, I I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunities that I have. I mean, having 2 shows that are 200 plus episodes, for that to happen once to somebody is rare. Twice, that's like, you know, I should bet everything on a Powerball lottery ticket or something because that's crazy odds. So looking back, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of joy. I feel very, very blessed. My father gave me great advice when I was a kid starting out, and I had to really convince him that I wanted to be an actor. He was an actor, wannabe actor when he was in college, was very, very good, but was not successful. I ended up booking like right away. First audition I went on, I got. Third one I got. Fifth one I got. I was like off to the races right away. But he told me, excuse me, he says, they'll always need a voice. And hopefully that will remain true with AI, because you can be an actor, a face, go in and out of style. They can maybe just have a product shot of just a commercial with just a car, no people in it, but they're going to need a voice to come in and say something. And the power of the voice is so magical. It's when you hear it, I think this is why when people listen to Ancient Aliens, even though I listen to it, I go, I don't, maybe that sounds a little bit choppy. I don't know, but I understand why people are intrigued, because the, an acting coach, the casting director, gave me a vocal signature once, and that's how, vocal signature is how somebody would describe you. Like say Gilbert Gottfried. Oh, he's irritating, raspy, curmudgeon. Okay, that's him, and that's okay as long as you're that. If you own it, you're going to work. If you try to be something other than that, that's where you get into trouble. And she told me that my vocal signature was approachable intelligence. Now that doesn't mean that I'm the brightest bulb in the box. It just means that I sound like I know what I'm talking about. And the way that I convey it is in a way that's very approachable. It's not off-putting. So I remember that. I'm aware of that. And I am constantly, as I'm doing these shows, inviting the audience in to come in on this journey with me. I'm having a good time. I'm intrigued. I'm interested. If we give you factual information, you can count it's going to be factual. If something happened in 1633, it really happened in 1633. If it didn't, we find out later, we go back and we change it. So looking back, I've been blessed to have the father that I did, that he encouraged me throughout my entire life, that I was able to have a certain level of success and notoriety, that to the point of where I don't take it for granted. I appreciate it. I honor it. I realize that it's like the Roman emperor coming back in the chariot after a great victory, where the herald is next to him and saying, "This too shall pass." Nothing is permanent. Everything goes away at a certain point in time, but try to be present, try to enjoy, and try to be thankful. And that's looking back on life, I'd say thank you is probably the most important thing.
Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalised keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewellery, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF627EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You can even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Veil Jewelry Workshops. Veil Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.veiljewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@veiljewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248.